Throughout human history, angels and demons have been seen as the ultimate representations of good and evil. They appear in religious texts, folklore, and popular culture, symbolizing the constant struggle between moral righteousness and temptation. However, what if these figures were never external entities, but rather internal algorithms, constructed unconsciously by the human mind to aid in ethical decision-making? From this reinterpretation, angels and demons are not divine or infernal beings, but archetypal patterns of thought, built-in programs within the human psyche. Imagine the human brain as a complex biocomputer, constantly processing information and evaluating actions. Over centuries, human beings have developed internal moral advisors that manifest in symbolic forms. These advisors operate as primitive artificial intelligence systems, angels representing logical pathways towards social cooperation and altruism, and demons reflecting instinctive urges towards selfishness, survival, or immediate gratification. These moral algorithms evolved not as metaphysical agents, but as survival mechanisms. Early humans who could simulate ethical outcomes internally, by imagining the voice of a guiding angel or the tempting words of a devil, had a better chance of navigating complex social environments. This internal dialogue functioned as a decision-making protocol long before psychology or moral philosophy formalized such processes. Angels, in this view, are not winged beings from heaven, but the cognitive framework that promotes long-term thinking, community harmony, and deferred reward. Demons, conversely, are the neural shortcuts that push for impulsive satisfaction, dominance, or revenge. In moments of ethical dilemma, humans often report feeling torn between two inner voices. This sensation is not a hallucination, but the conscious awareness of these algorithmic processes activating simultaneously. Rather than relying purely on logic or emotion, the mind dramatizes these opposing influences as external agents, the whispering devil on one shoulder and the whispering angel on the other. The form they take depends on cultural context, but the function remains universal, to present two diverging pathways, each tied to different predicted outcomes. Religions have traditionally codified these moral programs through narrative. Angels assigned to virtues like mercy, patience, and honesty. Demons associated with vices such as pride, wrath, and greed. But when stripped of their mythic forms, they reveal themselves as behavioral simulations embedded within human cognition. In this framework, moral choices are not simply philosophical debates. They are negotiations between different neural scripts. The angel script is more often long-term and abstract, while the demon script is immediate and visceral. Thus, we can interpret the age-old battle between angels and demons as an allegory for the tension between different decision-making algorithms inside the human mind. These are not spiritual creatures influencing humanity from the outside, but mental constructs that evolved as part of our inner operating system. If angels and demons are understood as symbolic representations of internal moral algorithms, then their influence can be seen not just in mythology, but in the everyday functioning of human behavior, ethics, and even technology. In modern neuroscience and cognitive psychology, we now recognize that human decision-making is rarely purely rational. It involves a dynamic negotiation between various cognitive subsystems, some conscious, some automatic. This mirrors the ancient metaphor of moral conflict as a dialogue between angelic and demonic voices. The angel algorithm aligns closely with what psychologists call System 2 thinking, a slower, more deliberate, and logical process. This is the system that evaluates consequences, weighs options, and often overrides more impulsive reactions. It tells you to forgive instead of retaliate, to save money instead of spending it recklessly, to tell the truth even when lying would be easier. It promotes behaviors that are socially constructive and emotionally intelligent, often requiring sacrifice in the short term for long-term benefits. On the other hand, the demon algorithm reflects System 1 thinking, a fast, intuitive, and emotionally charged process. It reacts quickly, based on learned patterns and survival instincts. It's what causes someone to lash out in anger, to pursue pleasure despite known risks, or to act out of jealousy or fear. While often painted as evil, this system is not inherently bad. It serves a biological purpose. It protects the self, ensures survival, and motivates action when there's no time to deliberate. However, when unchecked, it can lead to harmful behavior. What's fascinating is that modern artificial intelligence systems are beginning to resemble these moral dualities. AI systems must also be trained to make ethical decisions, such as autonomous cars deciding between risks in a collision or content moderation bots determining whether speech is harmful. Developers must embed angelic algorithms that promote safety, fairness, and empathy, while minimizing the demonic algorithms, biases, manipulation, and exploitation of human psychology. In this light, ancient myths of angels and demons can be seen as early forms of moral programming, encoded in cultural stories to train the human mind in ethical awareness. These myths provided humanity with a kind of spiritual operating system, teaching right from wrong through archetypes. They externalized our inner debates so we could observe and evaluate them more clearly. Moreover, this interpretation helps explain why people from vastly different cultures have independently developed similar figures, benevolent spirits who guide and malevolent ones who tempt. It suggests that these archetypes emerge not from shared religious truths, but from a shared neurocognitive structure. Just as all humans see the same colors or feel fear in response to danger, we also imagine moral conflict in similar symbolic terms. Interestingly, when individuals ignore or suppress these inner algorithms, especially the angelic ones, they may experience psychological dissonance, guilt, or even hallucinations. In extreme cases, individuals with psychosis report hearing voices that command them toward good or evil. From this perspective, mental illness might involve a breakdown in the boundaries between these internal moral scripts and the conscious self. This reinterpretation also has profound implications for spiritual growth. Rather than seeking divine intervention from outside, one might begin to see spiritual development as the strengthening of the inner angelic algorithm through mindfulness, empathy training, and rational reflection. Similarly, managing one's inner demons would not require exorcism, but cognitive behavioral therapy, emotional regulation, or neurological recalibration. In conclusion, angels and demons may not be supernatural entities at all, but cognitive metaphors for how we navigate right and wrong. They are evolved systems of moral computation that help us survive, thrive, and coexist. And as we continue to merge humanity with advanced AI, we may find ourselves programming new angels and new demons, ones not of myth, but of silicon, code, and algorithms. The moral responsibility then becomes clear: to make sure the voices we embed into machines are the ones that lead not toward destruction, but toward a shared ethical future.